Americans love using their credit cards, the most secure and hassle-free way to pay. But D.C. politicians want to change that with the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill. This bill lets corporate megastores pick how your credit card is processed, allowing them to use untested payment networks that jeopardize your data security and rewards. Corporate megastores will make more money, and you pay the price. Tell Congress to guard your card, because Americans lose when politicians choose. Learn more at guardyourcard.com.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome, my friends, to the Wednesday edition of Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour, the fastest hour in American media. And, of course, the fire hose is on and apparently will stay on for the next 3.5 years. Today's news includes the situation in Iran. And I have questions about that, a question that I would like to pose to many of you. Also, the big, beautiful bill is running into what may be trouble or what may be posturing in the United States Senate. You have that. The Supreme Court, ladies and gentlemen, of the United States has weighed in. Very important case. Obama is back. I don't even know whether we're going to get to Obama, frankly, because his remarks is sort of what you might expect from Obama. What do they really mean? Why is he saying it? Why is he back? Who knows? Let's start with the Supreme Court very briefly. The conservative majority of the United States Supreme Court today upheld a state ban on prohibiting some medical treatments, or one might not think of them as treatments, procedures for transgender youth, shielding similar laws in about 20 other states. It was a 6-3 decision. Chief Justice John Roberts acknowledged the fierce scientific and policy debates about the safety, efficacy, and propriety of medical treatments in an evolving field. He acknowledged, basically, the ideological warfare that has been going on with the Democrats' insistence that minor children be subjected to mutilations. Justice Sonia Sotomayor was so upset about the decision, she closed her dissent, which she read aloud from the bench, saying in sadness she dissents. In this case, the treatments, this comes from a Tennessee law, prohibits doctors who were supposed to heal people from prescribing puberty blockers, from offering hormone therapies that were never meant to do this, by the way, or performing surgeries, performing the mutilations to treat the psychological distresses caused by what we know as gender dysphoria. The case involved a doctor and 3 families who sued to challenge the Tennessee law that prohibited these things. They said it was discriminatory. And today, the Supreme Court ruled, no, this is the way it is. A government judge, a federal judge yesterday, blocked the State Department of the United States of America from extending a Donald Trump executive order that will prohibit playing this game of gender on United States passports. Judge Julia Kobik extended the order preventing the enforcement of a policy that would require all identification documents to indicate the sex that a person was born with on the passport. The lawsuit against this policy was raised by people like the ACLU of Massachusetts, and a private law firm, Covington and Burling LLP. And the judge ruled back earlier that Donald Trump's administration moved this direction because they were motivated by impermissible animus, which to me is just ridiculous. From the beginning of time as we knew it, when people started defining themselves man and woman, this was, of course, how the entire societal structures were built for millennia. All of a sudden, you had the real animus, which is the animus against biological science, the animus against, of course, a religious point of view, and believe me, on the left, they are hostile to it. That God actually created man, God actually created woman in his own image. And so let's just pretend that men can be girls, that girls can be men, and go from there. Joe Biden, in siding with the ideological left, allowed the United States passports to become fodder in this game of gender. And of course, that's not viewed upon by this judge or any of these other leftist judges as being a move of animus. It certainly is and was a move of animus. They had animus toward societal norms that have been the tradition of mankind since there was a mankind. They view it with animus, and so they thumb their nose at it. And it was okay for that administration to act with animus, to say, no, and regardless of what you think, we're going to force and impose this view on you. But when President Trump and his administration says, you know what, no, we're going to follow biological science. We're going to follow common sense. You can play these gender games with yourselves if you like, but when it comes to official government documents, no, you can't. And that is viewed by this liberal judge as having animus, impermissible animus. What is the impermissible animus to? It's to liberal ideology, which they think should be binding on everybody because they believe it. It has become their religion. So those are two cases that we see in the gender wars today. Wars that are unnecessary. Which brings me to Iran in a curious way. I have a question for those of you. It's a rhetorical question, of course. But I want to know, have we been fooled for decades about Iran? Have we been fooled? Have we been fed fake news for decades about Iran's military strength? As long as I can remember, we were treated in the news medias, not just American news media, but worldwide, with the impression that Iran's military capabilities were such that if a war ever erupted with Iran, there would be terrible consequences, that in fact Iran's response to anything, a war, would be so horrific on its neighbors, on the world, that we could spiral quickly into a world war, because Iran's military was absolutely top-notch. Many of us are old enough to remember the same thing, the same impressions about Iraq's military. Back before Gulf War I, Carlos, you don't remember Gulf War I? You were probably a twinkle in your mommy's eyes. But before Gulf War I, the world was told that Iraq's military was so lethal that any attempts to topple the government of Saddam Hussein, any attempt to take on Iraq's military would result in absolute disaster. And then when they provoked the United States under the auspices of then General Colin Powell, Bush 41, we went in there, and within 6 or 7 days, Iraq's military was totally decimated, to the point that the United States did something I think was a mistake, and we let them go. They were what was left of their military forces were running in the desert. We could have taken out the entire Iraqi military then and there and caused Saddam Hussein to be taken out of power. But we were, oh, no, that's too much. We won. Let them go. We proved our point. And we did not take them out. They came back. And hence we had to have Gulf War II after the 9/11 attacks, terrorist attacks. We're very concerned about weapons of mass destruction. They say it's a whole story. They say Bush lied about them, even though Iran may have hidden all of that material in Syria and so many. Anyway, we let them go. They came back. So my question is, have we been fed the same lies about Iran? What Israel has done in a matter of... Yes, sir.
Yeah, I don't know nothing about all this, but it's the way you say it, it sounds like a vicious cycle, you know? Like, oh, yes, they're going to stop, and then out of nowhere, boom, they're back, and they have like something new, or something they weren't telling people about, you know?
Well, that's what happened with Iraq. Now, here's the thing with Iran. Iran has been, as I said yesterday, at war with the United States, a Cold War, for 40 years. And this whole 40 years, we've been hearing about how formidable the military of Iran is. Right now, the Iran is in a total blackout. The Israeli military has killed their top military commanders. Think about this. Think about if we declared war on a nation, or if a nation struck us, and the first night of the war, they wipe out our senior military leadership. It's almost unheard of. It's almost unheard of. Israel had, so my question is, and I'd be interested to know what some of you think about it. You can email me, catch me up on Twitter. We'll take phone calls on the Saturday show. But have we been overrating Iran all these years? Now, President Trump asked Iran, hey, you guys need to unconditionally surrender. They're griping. I don't know. If you dare touch us, we're gonna attack the United States. By the way, the president's doomsday plane was moved from Louisiana up to Maryland. You know what the doomsday plane is? Special Air Force plane that can withstand a nuclear blast.
The B something that we're talking about?
It's a big plane. It's a yeah, it's a B. It's a badass plane. That's the B. American badass plane. And so there's a lot of speculation about that, maybe whatever. But the Iranian government has now flown some jets into Oman, including what may be their presidential jet. People are wondering whether the leadership is fleeing. I don't know. I don't think anyone knows for certain what's going on there. But I know one thing. All of a sudden, Iran is not looking like the big tough guy that everybody thought that they were. Now, maybe they'll mount a comeback. I am not a military expert. I'm not pretending to be a military expert. I am just an observer. And from what I observe, the big bad wolf, Iran, so far isn't showing up to the party with a big bad wolf appetite. Now, that can change. But I just wonder if was the world sold a bill of goods about Iran? James Golden, Snerdley.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Hi, I'm Richard Karn, and you may have seen me on TV talking about the world's #1 expandable garden hose. Well, the brand new Pocket Hose Copperhead with Pocket Pivot is here, and it's a total game changer. Old-fashioned hoses get kinks and creases at the spigot, but the Copperhead's Pocket Pivot swivels 360 degrees for full water flow and freedom to water with ease all around your home. When you're all done, this rust-proof anti-burst hose shrinks back down to pocket size for effortless handling and tidy storage. Plus, your super light and ultra-durable Pocket Hose Copperhead is backed with a 10-year warranty. What could be better than that? I'll tell you what, an exciting exclusive offer just for you. For a limited time, you can get a free Pocket Pivot and their 10-pattern sprayer with the purchase of any size Copperhead hose. Just text WATER to 64,000. That's WATER to 64,000 for your 2 free gifts with purchase. WATER to 64,000.
By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from Pocket Hose. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at pockethose.com/terms.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Indeed, happy birthday, Paul McCartney. We're going to celebrate Paul McCartney's music today, among other things. All right, very quickly, Kathy Hochul, cut 2, over the Brad Padilla episode yesterday.
Walking out of this courthouse, taken away from their families. They don't have the attention. They don't have the lawyers. And that's why the state of New York is providing $50 million to cover legal services for people who are finding themselves in this situation.
Yeah, American kids in New York can't read, can't write. Schools are not funded well enough. $50 million for illegal immigrants. Thanks, Kathy. We'll have more on that, but keep it right here. We're going to take calls, 800-848-9222. So, you want to give us a buzz? Do that. Meanwhile, America's fastest media hour continues. So whatever you do, do not go away.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Walking out of this courthouse, taken away from their families. They don't have the attention. They don't have the lawyers. And that's why the state of New York is providing $50 million to cover legal services for people who are finding themselves in this situation.
Young black kids growing up in the Bronx who don't even know what the word a computer is. They don't know. They don't know these things. And I want the world open up to all of them, because when you have their diverse voices innovating solutions through technology, then you're really addressing society's broader challenges.
Yeah, the magnificent Kathy Hochul. Can't wait to run out and spend your tax dollars, those of you who live in New York, $50 million of your tax dollars on people who are not even in the country legally, and then brag about it. James Golden, Snerdley, Princess Diana, of course, and Lady Benedict, who those of you in the program heard from the other day on Saturday. We've been chatting throughout on text the show, and I just want to read you some of the analysis. Princess Diana says that Iran was formidable until Israel took them out on night one. Now they are cartoons. The problem was that the Iranians military was frozen in the 1980s military development due to lack of freedom. Israel popped them like a souffle. Says you cannot underestimate the skill of Israel in ruining them. Their plan, plus U.S. support, Iran was outsmarted, outplayed, outgunned. They were destroyed by Israel and U.S. superiority militarily. And she went on to say that Iran put most of their eggs in the deploying terror elsewhere basket, and apparently they didn't expect a direct assault on their home territory. I asked her if she thinks regime change is now inevitable. She says that's an open question. Iranian people, empowered, thanks Elon, will determine that. Likely, but not certain. And the last time Iran was under attack was during the Iran-Iraq war from 1980 to 1988. That's when they stopped developing militarily. They were under Obama's protection after all. Yes. Now, I would just add, by the way, we have some calls. We're going to try to get to them on rapid phones. But I have a few other things that I want to do. While Israelis are doing brilliant things militarily, figuring out how they can get to the highest echelons of their enemy's government. The attacks that they did, the pager attacks, still some of the most brilliant war strategy ever dealing with terrorism. And you see Israel military. What are we doing in the United States military? Well, our Secretary of Defense was on Capitol Hill for a hearing today. And let's just drop in with a few things. Let's start with number 11, Senator Jackie Rosen, with Defense Secretary Hegseth.
I love the military. I served alongside my whole life, so I'm worried about you tainting it. Have you given the order? Have you given the order that they can use lethal force against honor? I want the answer to be no. Please tell me it's no. Have you given the order?
Senator, I'd be careful what you read in books and believing it, except for the Bible.
Oh, my God.
That wasn't Jackie Rosen. That was Slotkin. Let's go to 13. Here's another excerpt from that hearing.
Influence personnel decisions in your department, yes or no?
I believe your time is up, Senator.
Oh, it is not up to you to tell me when my time is up.
Well, the time
And I am going to say, Mr. Secretary, you're either feckless or complicit. You're not in control of your department. You are just unserious. It is shocking. You're not combating anti-Semitism within your ranks. It's a dangerous and pivotal time in our nation's history. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back. And I don't appreciate the smirk, sir. You are the Secretary of Defense.
The time of the gentleman.
Your time was up, lady. That was Jackie Rosen. 14, Senator Hirono from Hawaii.
President, I'm going to ask you once again, to shoot peaceful protesters in the legs, would you carry out such an order from the president?
Senator, as I've said before, of course, I reject the premise of your question and the characterization that I would be given or are given unlawful orders. It's all meant to attempt to smear the commander-in-chief, and I won't fall for it.
Considering that the president in his first term actually ordered such a thing, it is not a premise that you can reject. He can order, do the same thing. So you're, again, I think you would just follow what the president wants you to do. Let's face it.
Okay. President, by the way, asked today about Iran, the situation in Iran outside of the White House. The background noise that you will hear, they put up the most incredibly huge American flag in front of the White House. Donald Trump paid for all this out of his own pocket. It's beautiful. This is cut one. You'll hear background noise as this was still going up. But the president took questions from reporters. Here's one from CNN, and this is how it went.
The U.S. response to CNN. There's a split,
fake news. Fortunately, nobody watches.
But my
is anybody watching CNN nowadays? I haven't seen it in a long time.
But some of your supporters are wary of the U.S. getting involved in another foreign law, and some believe that we should support.
Do you ever ask a positive question at CNN? My supporters are more in love with me today, and I'm in love with them more than they were even at election time, where we had a total a landslide. We had, we won all 7 swing states. Did CNN report that? We won all 7 out of 7, which everyone said would be almost impossible. We won by millions of votes. We won 2,750 districts versus 505 districts. Think of that, 2,750 versus 505. And CNN...
I think what she might be alluding to...
CNN. Yeah. Okay, but CNN does have its good points. If depending on how you view the polling news, there's one that's a danger signal. Well, I'll get into that in a minute. CNN actually polled on this around. By the way, this question that this CNN reporter asked, you can see headlines. There's such dissension in the base. There's base. If he goes to Iran, if we do anything in Iran, it's over. The base. And who they are citing are either very well-known media commentators and politicians. But commentators and politicians are not the base. Let's check in with CNN's Harry Enton, who did their polling on this business with Iraq, cut 9. And this is what the polling reveals.
And overall, I feel like there's more support for Donald Trump's positions than is comically acknowledged. Oppose Iran getting a nuclear weapon. I mean, look at this. 79% of adults agree on that. They agree with Donald Trump. Iran cannot get a nuclear weapon. 83% of Republicans, 79% of independents, 79% of Democrats. When you get 79% of Democrats and 83% of Republicans agreeing on anything, you know that that position is the very clear majority in this country. And so the American public is with Donald Trump. They definitely oppose Iran getting nuclear weapons.
So this is a nuance here, but, Trump and Netanyahu both arguing that Iran is close to being capable of making a nuclear weapon. If that is the case, what is the feeling of Americans as to whether the United States should get involved in this conflict?
Right. If you buy Donald Trump's theory of the case, and I think that's important to note, this is polling from April. If Iran's trying to make a nuclear weapon, look at this. Overall, you get the slight plurality. I mean, it's within the margin of error, but the slight plurality of Americans actually favor U.S. airstrikes compared to 47% opposing it. Now, here's the other nugget I'll note, right? There's been a lot of talk online and on social media and in podcasts of a divide within the Republican ranks. But here on this question, if Iran's trying to make a nuclear weapon, look at that. 69% of Republicans, the clear vast majority of Republicans, favor U.S. airstrikes on Iran, on their nuclear facilities. But there is this substantial minority, 27%, who oppose such an idea. So it's not surprising you're hearing those other voices besides Donald Trump out there. There are plenty of them in the Republican ranks who oppose the U.S. striking Iran if they're trying to make a nuclear weapon. But the clear majority of Republicans are with Donald Trump if, in fact, Iran is trying to make nuclear weapons. They do, in fact, potentially favor U.S. airstrikes.
All right. Now, so we take the good news. Now, I want to play something else. This, my friends, will get me. We can't do the whole thing. It's cut 26. Can only do a few moments of it, but you'll get the drift. Just right into it, please.
Where is support for this mega bill?
I'm really surprised when I look at polling data. I look at it every day. But the amount of disapproval for this bill, holy cow, my goodness gracious. And, you mentioned the KFF poll. We're talking about 29 points underwater on the net favorable rating. But that matches the Quinnipiac University poll from last week when it was 26 points underwater. Oh, my God, you need Greg Louganis to get that far underwater. And, we're talking about a negative 41 net favorability rating among independents in the center of the electorate. You rarely ever see pieces of legislation or proposed pieces of legislation as unpopular as this. But here you see it in two polls, 26 points underwater and 29 points underwater. No good.
All right.
Big, beautiful bill needs some work, guys, to explain what's going on. Now, the Senate and the House are at odds. I don't have enough time to deal with that today. We'll get into it. The Senate has cut back the SALT cap that the New York liberal Republicans want in the Senate. In an astounding move, has said the Medicaid cuts have to be deeper than even the House wanted. And even this thing is turning into it. A lot of this could be posturing to end up with a solution that passes both. But we'll get into that. I want to take a break because I want to get to some telephone calls. We've had people holding. So James Golden, Snerdley, fastest hour in American media underway. Both Snerdley's Rush Hour. 800-848-9222. We're coming back. Don't go away.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Unpopular opinion, but I don't think that the fetus that I aborted was meant to go on and cure cancer, but maybe all of the infertile women who are spending tens of thousands of dollars and all these medical resources to try to have kids that they clearly aren't meant to have, maybe they're the ones that are supposed to be trying to cure cancer or do something meaningful with their lives other than just procreate, which, like, cockroaches do. It's not really special.
The American left. That went by fast. We'll revisit that one on Saturday. Keep that one, Carlos. Please, thank you.
James Golden, a.k.a. Bo Snerdley, presents Rapid Phones.
Well, we're going to head to the telephones today. Donna in Jamaica, Queens has been holding on. Donna, how are you?
Hi, James. I love your show. I listen all the time. And I think, and this is my personal opinion, that Iran is, I think that they're fooling everybody. For years, everybody thought that they were a great power. And all of a sudden, we bomb them or something, and there's a blackout there. That tells you something. That tells you that they don't have the power that they think they have. This is my personal opinion for what it's worth. And unfortunately, the only way we know is if we would go in and bomb them, which I don't know if that's the wisest thing to do. But I think they're fooling. I really do.
Well, let me ask you a question. You just raised an interesting point. Let me ask you about this. If we did bomb them, as you said, if we got engaged and with Israel, if we did a joint campaign to take out the remaining underground nuclear facilities that are in Iran, would you object to it, or do you think it would be the right thing to do?
Now it would be the right thing to do, because I'm tired of their telling us how powerful they are, and I don't think they are. I think that they're playing a game with us, and they know it. And they've been doing it for 40 years, and it's time to stop it.
It's time to stop it. Donna, thank you for your kind words. It's so good to hear from you. Appreciate it. Let's go to New Jersey and check in with Linda. Linda, how are you?
Hey, James, I'm doing pretty good. I'd like to say the Ayatollah has been saying death to Israel and death to Americans. He's been saying it for decades, and we have to take out their nukes, unfortunately, but it's got to be done. No boots on the ground, though. And I would also like to say Curtis Lee went for New York City mayor because he has no-kill shelters for people and animals.
Oh, very nice. Linda, thank you for the call. Let's run up to Connecticut and check in with Annie. Annie's calling from Connecticut. How are you, Annie? Oh, Annie dropped out there. Well, you know what we're going to do with the remaining moments that we have left? There is one other thing that I would like you to hear if we have time. I'm just looking for it right now. Do we have time? We have just a little bit of time. Yes, I know. I wanted to play the Whoopi Goldberg segment from The View today where she's claiming that black people in America have it just as bad as in Iran. Let's just start it.
Slow. But let's just remember, too, the Iranians literally throw gay people off of buildings. They don't adhere to basic human rights.
Listen, here's the thing. Let's not do that, because if we start with that, we have been known in this country to tie gay folks to the car.
Where the Iranian regime is today in 2025 is nothing compared to the United States.
Keep hanging black people. So
it is not even the same. I couldn't step foot during this.
Wait. That's not what you mean to say. It is the same.
No, it's not. The year 2025 in the United States is nothing like if I step foot wearing this outfit.
All right, that's enough of that. Let me just say this. The woman says that in Iran, and this, by the way, happens in other countries, they throw gay people off the building. That is a state-sponsored, a state mandate. They don't permit homosexuality. The state doesn't. So she conflates that with some horrible incidents that have happened here from wicked, horrible individuals. The state in the United States has never sanctioned that kind of, or doesn't sanction that kind of action toward anyone because of their sexual preference. It's a horrible, horrible thing she said there. And then she goes on to say, well, and they hang black people. Well, yes, folks, let's face facts. The Democrat Party, which she continues to advocate and promote, was the party of the lynchings. They were the party of racial hatred in America. Thankfully, the Democrats are now designed to running the digital plantation rather than the real plantations. Yes, they still oppress black people in America, but they don't lynch them in public anymore the way they used to. So, Whoopi, stop trying to compare the United States of America with Iran, please. I don't even know how the executives over there listen to these shows or watch them. They probably don't watch them. I mean, would you if you... we got to go. May God bless, protect each and every single one of you, your families, your loved ones. Love and gratitude for your being here with me, allowing me to be with you. God willing, we are back tomorrow for the Thursday edition of Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour, the fastest hour in American media. Until then, my friends, I bid you adieu. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. You can hear Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour weekdays at 4 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?